Hi, this is video number 2 of 1981 Bally Embryon that I am in the process of restoring. Just finished with 99% of all the electronics. It has been a rough road, as this machine has been pretty much all original. None of the components inside the back box were ever changed, with the exception of a few transistors on the lamp driver board. But in the 31 years that this has been around, most of the components were original. But for reliability of the game, I made the decision to change everything out, and I'm really liking the results. Probably the worst of it all was the solenoid driver board and the rectifier board. They were either burnt or some of the transistors were shot, some of the bumpers weren't working, so it's taken me some time to figure that out. And after I got all those problems solved, it's been pretty much a good playing machine at this point. So I'm going to call phase 1 of the electronics restoration complete. And just to give you a quick tour, I have replaced all the transistors on the auxiliary lamp driver board. All the ICs in this machine now have good quality sockets and brand new ICs, so it'll make serviceability much easier in the future. Also changed the high voltage and the 5-volt voltage with the caps, and that was probably the biggest upgrade for this machine to date. It was in really bad shape again. I kept the original small fuse in there since I still have a whole bunch of them available. I think I will eventually convert it to the longer size fuse eventually, but for now, didn't want to mess with it too much. It would have taken a lot more time to fix. But as you can tell, sockets on all the ICs as well. The only things I didn't change were these resistors, which they were still in spec when I tested each one of them. Replaced all the diodes and the resistors for the transistors and the solenoid driver side of things. All the caps are changed and brand new. Also did some of the modification on the back of the board, fixing the grounds, and there's one of them right there with the green wire. But the grounds on the back also, so it can have handle more current on the 5-volt section. There's a couple articles on the internet about this board. The sound board is the 61B the 61A version, 2518 61A. Just did a complete recap of this board, and I have an IC, a 10-watt IC amp coming in. As it still sounds a little noisy, but nowhere near as bad as the hissing and the popping of the old ones here. But so far, it's been a good restore so far. Again, here with the changing of the ICs, all the transistors and the resistors on this one were in good shape, so I kind of left it at that. Most important was cleaning of all the header pins, reflowing the solder joints, and cleaning out the Molex connectors. Now, I will probably eventually change them all, but for the sake of, after testing, getting all the test points, it was still receiving the full voltage and I wasn't getting any issues. So when I get around to changing it, I will be sending out the play field to Chicago to have the artwork redone. Like right there, that's where the common point of where happens on this particular machine, where the ball comes out. So that's the next phase number 2. There's my phone. And here was the major culprit that was causing a slew of other problems. This connector was so hot to the touch that you couldn't touch it. These wires were beginning to melt. They were burnt all the way, maybe about 1.5 inches. So I painstakingly had to replace all the little pins inside with the new connector, and it worked out really well. So now this thing is no longer hot, and the lights are that much brighter. And that's pretty much it. So still got to do the cabinet and the play field, but as soon as I have to rebuild the flippers here, and they got that bounce because the pawl is all ruined on the bottom. It's all worn out. So I got the rebuild kits for the linear flippers coming in for next week. So after I do that, I'm pretty much going to call phase 1 of the electronics and mechanics fully restored, and then it's a case of just basically playing it for a little while, getting used to it, and then breaking down the playfield to be sent out to Chicago. I probably won't see it for 3 to 4 months, but I've seen some results from this company. It's they do some amazing work, and it'll be preserved for another 20 years after all the artwork is restored. Also, the plastics I have are all original. You might not see them all on there because I took them off as I'm lifting up the playfield up and down all the time working on the electronics, so I figured I'd take them off so to prevent them from breaking. They're all back here, and I'm also going to try and my hand at putting them in the oven for about 10 minutes and letting them flatten out. They have seen a little bit of heat stress and they're a little curled up, but not bad as some of the other machines I've seen. But so far so good. Also under the playfield, the electronics, this what took me the longest. I think that it took me about 4 hours to do, was to replace every single capacitor and diode on each of the switches. That was probably the most painstaking part of this restoration, but that also allowed me to find a lot of switches that were dirty or they needed to be replaced, leaf switches. Also replaced the switches on each of these, so that was a big upgrade as well. So I will post a video after this has been broken down, getting sent out to Chicago. But for the time being, after I do the flippers, just going to play it and enjoy the game. So thanks guys. Any questions, leave some comments below, and thanks a lot. Take care.